What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Taking a Breath. Thanks so much for joining us today. On this week's episode, I'm interviewing Reverend Tony Aguilar. He's based out of Brooklyn, New York. He's got about 40 years in business and sales and marketing, and then also a lot of experience in church planning and community building. And so I'm excited to interview him about both sides of those things, and he takes both of those approaches when he's answering a lot of these questions. So I hope you get something out of today's episode.
We had begun the conversation, but am very excited to kind of learn a little bit more about was your kind of concept of leadership and a kind of a biblical background that you come from was this idea of intentional discipleship. And so wanted to hear a little bit more from you just about overview of what does the concept of intentional discipleship mean to you?
Intentional discipleship is a very easy understanding based upon the Great Commission that Jesus gave us in Matthew 28. In verse 19 of that chapter, Jesus gives us a command. He says, make disciples. What has to be clear here is he didn't say, here's a good suggestion. If you think maybe you would want to do this, please go ahead. Or a recommendation. This might be a good way to advance the kingdom. That was not what he said. He said, make disciples. This is a command that our Lord Jesus gave us. So intentional discipleship is taking seriously the command of Christ.
Absolutely. And I love the concept of, and we see it in this example of Jesus sharing with his disciples, these teachings, and then them, teaching additional believers, and then so on and so forth up to today where, we have so many churches all over the place sharing the gospel. And I think that's a really interesting idea for leaders in general, right? I do know that a lot of my audience isn't, might not be from a faith background or might not be specifically Christian. And so, even whether you are Christian or aren't Christian, this concept of leaders creating leaders is something that's really important for us to understand that, for example, if Tony is sharing a concept with me that really is striking a chord, for it to just end with me, is selfish in some sense if I can't then also share that concept and really bring others into the fold. I mean, that's this concept, and then being able to then continue the growth and to see growth in other people. So for you, Tony, has that been something that's really important in terms of, creating leaders who can then, continue to mentor and disciple other leaders as well?
Yes, it is. And to give, as you mentioned in my bio, I come from two directions. I'm a minister of the gospel, but I'm also, that's my calling in life. But my career is a businessman. I've been in business, marketing and sales and business for 40 plus years. As you can see, I'm no youngster. So with that, both ends, I've been a trainer of men and women in business. I've coached, I've trained sales teams, marketing teams, and taught them how to be successful in marketing and in sales and in business endeavors. In church-related activities, of course, my desire is to train young men and women, or for that matter, people of any age, and teach them not only how to be faithful in following Jesus for themselves, but to take this pattern that Jesus gave us and Paul the Apostle gives us, and to teach other young believers how to walk faithfully and then continue to duplicate that process. Talent and skill could take you to the top of any industry, any sport, any profession. But it is only integrity that will keep you there. And that brings me back to Christianity. You could be highly skilled, highly motivated, highly trained, and you could get to the top of the career mountain. But it is integrity that will give you the kind of reputation that people will flock to people will look to, people will trust, and you will continue to have the kind of success that comes with talent and skill.
I love that. And I love both sides of it, right? From a mentoring or discipleship side of it, both reaching out to people who you want to disciple or you want to mentor and bring alongside you, but then also reaching out to people who are more knowledgeable or have more experience or have, both sides of that. And I think that mentoring and discipleship, especially for young leaders, has always been something that's kind of just a big word or a little bit of a kind of a scary concept, but I love that kind of starting somewhere, that you said, right? Like taking that first step, asking that first person, or, even it might look like for you, getting 10, 15 no's of people who, aren't interested in specifically, like you talked about, you talking to them about Jesus, or, you talking to them about sales techniques, things like that. But a lot of times for me, it's really been about also, flipping that and asking people who I know could be really good mentors for me. And that's really this whole journey of the podcast too, is reaching out to people who I can have conversations with and learn something from, even people who I might have never met and just gotten the chance to be connected with. And I think that's been, really huge development, especially over the past couple of months I've been doing that. But I love that idea of creating the community, especially centered around just hospitality. I think that is something that, especially right now, has been kind of hard for a lot of people with the pandemic. If you're listening later on, right now we're still kind of coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so it has been, for a lot of churches, I know, a struggle to continue to build or see growth. As we're coming out of this, for businesses, obviously, it sounds like this past month, your sales team has been doing incredible things. What's your advice for businesses coming out, churches and businesses coming out of COVID-19 to see growth over the next several months?
In business or in church, continue to show appreciation to the existing clientele that has been working with you over these last 3-4 months. Continue to show that appreciation. But secondly, continue to market. Every day, I'm reaching out to new markets for my business, talking to various people, introducing what I do. A lot of this is by telephone, a lot of this is by Zoom. And we've been able to expand our market of relationships. People who said, hey, I didn't even know you guys existed until I got that call from you. So that's what I do. I'm always looking to build relationships, because it's through relationships that good business comes.
I want to give an opportunity for you. I know discipleship is, obviously the core of your why. That's a lot of times something I talk about, why are you here? And for you, it's really discipleship and sharing the gospel. A lot of my listeners are in the 16 to 22-year-old range. What would you say to a younger you who might not be a Christian at all at this point? Just kind of in closing, I would love for you to just share, a quick message to the young listeners who may never have really pursued a relationship with Christ.
The reality of knowing Christ is understanding that there's something bigger than you. There's someone bigger than you. You didn't just get here by chance. Your life was designed and specifically made in the image of God. My encouragement to you is to seek that person found in the reality of Jesus. You'll find him in the scriptures. Go to the Bible or go to a Christian friend. But I also want you to know this. True success in life is not simply making lots of money, which is great. Having a fabulous career, which is wonderful. True success is found in knowing, loving, and praying God who made you in the person of Jesus Christ.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode. I hope you'll subscribe, like, and join us again for next week's episode. In addition, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Taking a Breath Podcast for new weekly and daily content.